Welcome to Makers International, a podcast of makers from 3 countries, 2 continents, and featuring 5 guys separated only by the same language. Here's your host, Richard Morley.
Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good times, whatever time it is, wherever you're listening. Joined with me, as always, Mr. Chris Cute.
Hey, how are you guys?
And Mr. Alan Robinson.
How you doing, fellas?
And Mr. Joe Whittaker.
You're right, Tom, yeah.
You've taken it off now. That's not going to work for the live audience. He's looking like he's straight from the dark side with a crazy mask. It's Jamie Page.
Hello.
2 minutes ago, you were wearing the mask and the goggles, and it was much better. And now you've taken it off, and you've completely. I don't know. Where am I going? Well, so shout outs then. Right, let's do some shout outs for this week very quickly. We have Jim Dockrell, the Redsmith, Know What Mum Knows. I think this is a new commenter, Real Scorpion 82. Anyone recognise that one?
Never heard of him.
Yeah, okay. Well, welcome, even if you're not new. Wacky Woodworks, KSFWG, Ian Brody Smith, Norbury 53, Ragtie, and Carol over at KK Make. So big thank you, a big welcome, a big thumbs up to all those people. Don't forget, you can comment, like, and all that good stuff. We love it when people get in touch. And speaking of getting in touch, Chris, do we have any random listener questions? I think we might this week.
We do. Mr. Bob Rawson. And hi, Bob. How are you, buddy? Had a question that he wants us to address. He says, a few years ago, I made a Forstner drill bit storage block out of some 2x4 or 4x2, depending on where you're from. After a while, all the ends that inserted into the storage block became corroded and or rusted. He says, I think the moisture from the wood is what corroded them, but do you guys have any suggestions for a solution to that? Would oiling the wood prevent this, or is there a better solution? So I have my answer. I'll let you guys go first.
Ooh, I've got an answer.
I have no answer, and I would like to know myself, so please educate me.
I would have assumed it would have been the moisture in the wood.
Well, that's what he said, and I think that's absolutely correct, because 2x4s aren't actually dried as well as other wood.
4x2s, Chris.
Whatever. Become dyslexic for a week for me, all right? Help me out.
2x4.
KO.
To be fair to Bob, I think it probably should be 4x2, because I know he's here in the UK. So,
all right.
By the by, 3 against 2. We'll go with the averages.
That's it.
4x2.
I've just painted. I'd seem to paint everything in my workshop if it's going to be like exposed a lot to the elements, and it seems to do the trick anyway. So I'll just stick some paint in there.
I wonder actually if it's not more to do with condensation building up on a cold. I'm assuming this is outside in a garden shed, so that temperature difference you're likely to. I mean, I get condensation building up on metallic objects overnight, even in the summer. So that may well have been the initial contributing factor, I'd have thought.
Well, you know what? I think that might be the answer if he said they all corroded, but he said just the ends that were stuck in the wood were corroded.
Yeah, well, so from that point of view, as the temperature then rises the next day, anything that's sticking out in the air, it's allowed to evaporate off, isn't it? Whereas if it's wedged into the timber, then you're not going to get that evaporation, so the moisture is going to linger, probably soak into the wood and stay damp. But that by that I mean that's getting a bit nerdy. But what I was going to say, with the way I do it with my Forstner bits, if you look on probably any of my videos, there's like a block of wood and the holes are massive, just in a piece of plywood. So rather than have them sticking into a piece of wood, they stick through a piece of ply and they actually rest on the bigger kind of drilling part of the Forstner. So the shank goes all the way through to nothing.
That's close to what I was going to suggest anyway, was to rather than using a 2x4 pine, was to save your plywood scraps, glue them together one on top of each other until you get the thickness you want, drill into it, and then put them in there like that, because plywood is dry. You can't get much drier than what plywood is, and so they probably wouldn't happen. But that's actually probably even a better idea, Richard, so there you go.
Well, actually you can, Chris. You could do what I do and keep them in the plastic case they came in.
That's a very well constructed. Better than you you could have mentioned that, actually, Jamie. Very well done. Yeah, so keep them in the box they come in, or not. You can also get like a spray lube, dry lube. I can't remember what it's called now. Shout out, Jamie. It's like a PTFE spray. You can get it for router bits. I use it on my router bits. You can spray those with that.
I don't like going in chopstick bite.
Jamie. Right, I think that's it with the random questions. Cheers for that, Bob. I'm trying desperately to keep things on track.
You've got to be careful what else you buy when you're going in for that dry lube.
Joe.
You don't want a lump hammer in your hand.
I happen to like a dry sense of humor, but you guys got picky.
So you're saying
there's no dry sense of humor. We were talking about lube.
Oh, well, if that's the way she comes, that's the way she comes. Anyway, come on, Richard. All right, let's move on.
We have our main topic for this evening. I don't know what to do now because the main topic's come about from Bob, hasn't it? This was Bob's.
Yeah, but let's be honest. Let's be honest here. This whole topic was inspired by a video that Joe Whitaker did. So let's all thank Joe for this topic today.
Thanks, Joe.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Do you want to introduce this then, Joe? Because being this, it's kind of your fault. Because I think everyone needs to know this video.
Well, basically, I did a video recently where I was cutting some MDF, and the idea was to show this simple technique breaking down a full sheet of MDF. Well, it was a hot day. I didn't want to get the MDF muddy. My safety glasses was glaring up. I couldn't breathe through my dust mask. So, of course, in the video, I'm there, barefoot, no safety glasses on, no dust mask, cutting with a circular saw on my hands and knees. So, as you can imagine, the safety police was in full force on that video. But it did bring up a good question, which Bob has put forward, is kind of how much responsibility do we have as YouTubers to the community, to people who are watching? Do we feel is adequate PPE, personal protective equipment? What do we think is safe? What do we consider safe? So that's what the topic's going to be this week.
That sounds like every one of my videos.
So I thought you were going to talk about the video where you did have a mask, or the picture, sorry, where you did have a mask on, but you looked like you just pulled your head out of a bucket of sawdust.
Yeah, that's the thing. I've got, because I'm doing carving recently as well, so I'd got my dust mask on and I'd got safety glasses on. But of course, the fine particles of dust in the air still get under the safety glasses, and it was all in my eyes. So it's like I'm either going to have to get some swimming goggles or some other kind of fitted face mask or something. But
well, yeah, if Andy, if you're out there, Mr. Berkey, if you're listening, hook Joe up, because Andy's the king of the goggles. I'm telling you.
I'm actually quite curious. You don't need your feet for seeing. You don't need your feet for breathing. Why did you have no shoes on?
So I didn't get the MDF muddy. Because I was had to walk all over it because I got it on the floor. Because like to handle big 8 foot by 4 foot sheets of MDF,
gotcha,
them heavy, and it's hard for me. And I haven't got a lungerie.
Just so people know that every time Joe takes his shoes off, he contributes to global warming. The greenhouse gases coming off those digits. Oh man, yeah. Okay, anyway.
See.
That's why it's still called the Black Country.
It's just not good. I guess Bob's question to us, just unless I heard that incorrectly, Joe, is he wants to know what our responsibility as YouTubers, people out in front of the public, may perhaps doing videos for people who have never done things before, what our responsibility is towards personal protection equipment. Okay, well, all right. Well, I'll let somebody else start because you may not like my answer.
Well, I mean, does anyone else want to chip in on this? I mean, Alan made a comment about PPE last week.
I did?
Yeah. What's your PPE situation in your workshop when you're sanding?
Oh, yes. I've been seen smoking cigarettes while sanding without it. You could see my mask in the background of the video as well. But look, I've always subscribed to the John Heiss school of view. Each and every person on YouTube and not on YouTube, it's your own responsibility to wear what you want to wear and not wear what you want to wear. Correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's kind of That's kind of my point of view too. But yeah,
It's not my responsibility to tell audiences to where it's all up to your own self and your own comfort levels. I have a what are those yellow push block thing called that everybody uses?
The micro jig.
Micro jig.
I have a micro jig, and I feel twice as safe using my homemade push stick because it feels comfortable in my hand, and micro jig does not feel comfortable to me at all. It feels far too weighted to me. So the ones I make by myself, they are comfortable, and I feel far safer with those. But people give because they can see, excuse my language, because they can see the micro jig in the background, and I'm still using my little crappy push stick one.
Well, it's all individual, isn't it? It's what you feel comfortable with, and what you feel the most comfortable with most likely is going to be the safest thing to do. The only thing that I will say that those little those micro jig push block things do is that when it's well, yeah, I said do didn't I? When it's straddling the blade, it forces you to keep the blade down to a reasonable height above the wood that you're cutting. So in that respect, I can understand how it is. Safety, I guess, but if you know enough to not raise the blade all the way up to cut a half-inch piece of plywood, then you really don't need it. That's. But I agree with you, Alan. I mean, I think that, and actually, I have a disclaimer that I have on every single one of my videos, and if you guys really want me to read it at some point during today, I will. I'll pull it up and find it. But it's basically, what I do, and it works for me. Your responsibility in your workshop is your responsibility, not mine. And so if you hurt yourself doing stuff that I'm doing, that's not my problem. But having said that, I do have a conscience, and I do direct a lot of the videos I do to people who may just be starting out in woodworking, things of that nature. So if it occurs to me to make a point about what you should and shouldn't be wearing, then I will, of course, bring it up and, of course, try to display that as well. Personally, I don't think my personal protection equipment that I use in my videos, I don't think I'm lacking too much on that. There are sometimes, I'll be honest with you, that I forget to put on the safety glasses when I'm cutting a piece of wood through a table saw. It's just because I forgot to do it. It's not because I'm not aware that I should wear them. It's just I forgot to do it. That's not something that's foremost in my mind while making a video. I'm really worried about creating the project that I'm creating, making sure that I'm getting the shot that I want on camera, and then so I'm really a part of the whole safety third crowd when it comes to that. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but that's just where I'm at as far as what I feel my responsibility is. It's based on my own conscience. If I think I need to mention it, I will. If I don't, then I don't.
Well, I guess I'm going to play a bit sort of devil's advocate here, but I think personally there is an amount of inferred responsibility on create. I feel like I should be, if I'm putting out an instructional video, then part of that video should be the PPE side. I mean, when I do my courses in person, that's the very first thing we talk about. Eyes, ears, lungs, and others like clothing and footwear and stuff. And I always top it up with, when you leave here, what you do is down to you. What you do while I'm here with you, instructing you, then I kind of have a say in that. So, you will wear specs, and I expect you to wear,
right,
require the appropriate PPE, because that's the other thing, it's appropriate PPE, but that's sort of a later in the discussion. But I mean, does a driving instructor have any liability in a student who has a car accident after they've shown them how to drive?
No.
It's a similar sort of setup. I mean, so if somebody watches my video and if I either don't mention any PPE, but I've got it on, and they decide not to because I didn't mention it, they might not know. And I can remember not knowing about MDF when I first started using MDF. I didn't know it was like nasty. I didn't wear a mask, and it wasn't until I found out it was nasty and how nasty it was. Like, hang on, I better put a mask on now. But that was before the massive YouTube sort of revolution. And so I kind of do feel a little bit of responsibility to, just mention it, but I I've got no control whether somebody does or doesn't. I mean, there's
No,
a difference there.
yeah, I don't think we have any responsibility as to what the end user actually ends up doing. But to be quite honest with you, when I'm working in my shop, I think I'm taking all the necessary precautions that I need to, and I've admitted that sometimes I forget, and I recognize when I forget. And sometimes it happens on camera, sometimes it happens off camera. So, I mean, when I'm pushing wood through a saw and a blade that's spinning, I have safety glasses on. I either have these on, which are safety glasses, by the way, or I have another set of safety glasses in my shop that I always do wear. If I'm cutting MDF, I do put a respirator on. And it's not because I want to display to anybody the proper gear. It's because I know I should wear one. Yeah. And so that's so as long as I'm doing the right thing, then I really shouldn't need to make a point of it, should I? I mean,
no, go on. Sorry, go on, Joe.
I was just going to say, I think there's actually kind of a big difference depending on how the style of videos is. If you're doing more of an advice style video, if you're advising somebody to do something that may be dangerous, then I think you 100% have a responsibility behind that. I think of a good example is when I've reviewed a table saw in the past, I take the guard off my table saw. And I always make a point of mentioning in the review, I don't advise anybody to do that. Always follow the safety instructions, but I choose to. I explain the reasons why I choose to, but I don't advise people to do it. And to see me with the guard off and they take it upon themselves to copy what I've done, then I don't feel a responsibility for that because I've always advised against. It's a lot of like, do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah, I mean, but again, just to play devil's advocate, if you're new and you come across one of Joe's videos where he's not got the guard on, and you could easily assume, and we all know what happens when you make an assumption. Admittedly, you could just assume that I don't really like that there. It gets in my way, but so he's taking it off. I can take it off, and also the other thing to remember is, there's so many differences between nations. Like, I know a lot of Brits watching American videos thinking one thing, not necessarily understanding and copying, and that potentially can create errors and dangers. But at the same time, you can't cover every single thing, can you? I mean,
no, that's the trouble. I think we're also in kind of a niche area because I'm thinking about this topic like from a week ago now. There was actually a spate of really bad prank videos on YouTube, and there was kids copying the pranks, and there was some really severe injuries from copying these fake pranks on YouTube. But I think we're in a niche area really where you don't really expect young children to be using power tools. The people who are going to be using them, adults, young adults, older teenagers, who you would hope would have that responsibility built in them. If you're catering to a much younger audience, then I think there is a much bigger responsibility on your shoulders as to what you portray. If you're dealing with adults watching, you'd hope that they've got that bit of common sense sort of thing.
Where would you think that kind of drops my videos, though? Because I was kind of just going to make that point. My channel versus Richard's channel, he's a very high-level woodworker, and he does really instructional videos. I do cinematic and comedy-driven woodworking videos. So I do appeal to a younger audience. I know I've got a lot of younger guys, but a lot of them are just coming on for a laugh. Like, do you feel that I should be a little more appropriate with my PPE in the videos because of that younger audience?
Well, the argument that I was like making is if you look at something like that, if you was to say, look at your analytics and you see you've got a lot of people under the age of 15, 13 years old, you would hope that they wouldn't be using power tools unaided anyway. Yeah. They should be monitored. All power tools are sold like over 18 use and everything like that. So absolutely, that's kind of where I would think, if you've got somebody who's 10 years old watching you, using a table saw with no safety glasses on, using your fingers really close to the blade, you would hope they haven't got access to a table saw on their own anyway.
Yeah, I've never even considered that. I should hope not.
Yeah. You've also got the aspect of the sort of the general tone and setting of the video. So to take Alan's example just then, I do produce some very specifically instructional videos. In fact, actually, there's one that I've just produced. You guys haven't seen it yet, unless potentially Joe might have and Jamie may have had access to it. But it was only been released through a UK Facebook group thus far. But part of that production, I specifically mentioned, because I'm talking to the camera all the time, I'm not wearing a mask, but the material I'm using, there is no requirement to wear a dust mask because of the type of dust that material creates. It's not a harmful dust, it's a nuisance dust. And I specifically mentioned that in the video because it is an instructional video. Whereas the more cinematic stuff like Alan produces, you're not specifically instructing people on how to do things. So there probably isn't a requirement there, irrespective of age. Does that make sense?
I certainly don't feel like I'm responsible for anybody or I have a requirement to safety to anybody. And I agree with you, because I think for like Alan's cinematic type things, because Alan has done some serious woodworking projects. Let's not discount what Alan does, but he does do a lot of cinematic entertainment based videos where it's there for people just to watch and enjoy. Whereas if you are actually going to stand in the teacher's classroom in front of the chalkboard and you're actually going to show somebody how to do something, then yes, I think you have a responsibility to show them how to do it correctly. But outside of that, the majority of YouTubers that are out there aren't doing that kind of video. They're just saying, here's a video, watch me build this, whatever this happens to be. And they try to present how they're making something to an audience that will go, oh, that's kind of cool. Wow, nice job. So we're not really trying to instruct people the majority of the time, at least the vast majority of the YouTube follower, the people that I follow, aren't trying to actually, be the teacher in the classroom. They're just displaying their works of art or their creation or their craft. So I think there's a gray line there, and I don't think that if you're doing it for entertainment value, and a lot of Alan's stuff, which is fantastic by the way, is geared for entertainment, and I don't think there's a requirement there. I mean, because if you do that, I mean, every comedy movie that was ever made that had some kind of a crazy freaking stunt in it, then they would be responsible for that. I mean, so give me a break. No, I mean, I don't think so in that context. But Richard, if you're doing an instructional video, then yeah, I can see why that would become a priority. Say, before you even start this, here's what you need. Yeah. That's just the answer I was looking for.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you, Joe, Richard. I mean, I know you guys have been around for a while. Do you remember like 2-3 years ago, there was a real rash of YouTubers that were putting out videos, and they had a disclaimer that ran before the video even started. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah, like Jackass.
And that, and that went by the wayside real quick, didn't it? Because I mean, I guarantee I know what happened to those guys' videos, and they didn't get watched very often because it's not good to do that. I mean, it's something you need to assume, and so it has since evolved into people putting disclaimers on their channels within their description, saying, "Look, don't do what I do unless you feel safe doing it." That kind of thing. So,
don't get me wrong, though. I do use PPE somewhat appropriately. My biggest I'm really big on safety glasses. I think I should always be wearing them. And when you see me not wearing them, my biggest problem is I set them down one place and I can't find them for like 5 to 10 minutes. If I just need to make one cut, I'll spend maybe 1 minute looking for them. I'm going to forget it. I'm making that cut.
Yeah, they're hanging out with the tape measure and the pencil.
It's got me.
That's where mine are all the time.
I know I should buy like 10 and just put them everywhere, but I
just want to read a comment that's come over from Sterling over in the chat. He said there's a big difference between knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge is knowing one way the street goes, and wisdom is looking both ways before you turn.
Great point.
That is a good point, yeah.
That is a good point.
I think, in short, our responsibility, and when I say our, I mean everybody, viewers, creators, everybody, our responsibility is to ourselves more than anyone else. And you make that judgment call. As Alan said, there have been times when I haven't been able to lay my hands on something. I just, you just want to get on, and you take that risk. You think, well, one cut, yeah, okay. But I tell you, you guys probably know, my other half is an optician, and if she ever catches me not wearing a pair of safety glasses, she would literally slap me around the back of the head. Literally slap me around the back of the head. To everyone. But I've actually had comments where I haven't been wearing PPE, and the one I can really think of, I think it was about a year ago, maybe a bit more. I changed completely the tone of a video. I had 2 doors that Mum and Dad asked me to hang for them, and they wanted to go from a really dark wood, like a mahogany kind of colour, to oak to match a newly installed kitchen. And I was like, how am I going to do this without changing the whole doors? Because one of them was an odd size. And in the end, we came up with veneering a piece of 6mm MDF that had been veneered both sides with oak, and then basically veneering that to the door. But one of them had a window in it. So I veneered it all up, and I had to flush trim the window aperture through this door. So I had to route MDF, and it was chucking it down with rain. So I did it in the garage. So I'm in an enclosed space, away from my normal workshop, right in the middle of a job, no mask.
Yeah, and you got high as a kite, I'm sure. And Richard, if you don't mind, do me a favor. Right now, you're looking out like Kilroy was here. Could you pull your camera down just a little bit? There you go.
Yeah, sorry. It's because my laptop is literally sitting on my lap, and as the light fades, no doubt everything's going completely black.
No, I could just see the nose and the eyes. I'm going. Richard looks like Kilroy was just here anyway. But no, I hear. No, that's not good, Richard. You still look like Kilroy. So did you get overcome by the fumes? Did you?
Well, it wasn't so much that, but obviously it created loads of dust, and I literally had to just hold my breath, take a deep breath, hold it, route this window aperture, which is about 18 inches on all 4 sides, turn the machine off, and just go outside and everyone. So I literally wasn't breathing for the whole time I routed this window out, because I knew what was happening. It's got to be in the video. I knew what was going to happen.
Right. I spent some time, because I knew this is going to be our topic, and I spent a little bit of time. I don't want to say I didn't stay up all night about doing this, but I researched, and and whether these sites that I saw are actually legit or not, it doesn't matter. It provides a topic. Do you know what most people attribute shop accidents to? Serious shop accidents. I mean, everybody gets a splinter. That's not exactly what I call a serious shop accident. Like wearing a dust mask is preventing long-term problems. So if you don't wear a dust mask on making one cut, there's no immediate result from that. So we're talking about long-term things here. Do you know what what most people say is the reason why they got hurt in their shop? The number one reason for getting hurt in your shop?
Lots of concentration.
They got distracted. They got distracted. Lack of concentration. So you know what? So this begs a question.
I was going to say Berkey.
Let's just blame Andy. What the hell everybody else thinks. But this begs a question then, because I don't know about you guys, but well, I'll let you speak for yourself before I chime in. Here's my question then: is playing music in your shop, is listening to this podcast while you're in your shop, is that creating a distraction that you really don't need that could become a safety issue?
Watch out for that blade.
Well, no, I think it's a legit question, because I honestly ran my thumb through a table saw because I became distracted from a noise outside that surprised me. And that was the reason I cut my finger. It wasn't because I was being, uncareful. I've done the same thing I've done. Richard, stop killing God's beasts. It wasn't because I was doing something unsafe. It was because I got distracted and I jumped and I moved my finger towards the blade and looked up, and so I became distracted. So, what distractions are appropriate and what aren't in your shop, or is that once again down to whatever you're comfortable with?
I mean, I guess it's exactly what you just said. I mean, you obviously know with your background in radio that even listening to radio or even this podcast or any other podcast for that matter, you get sound effects. And if you listen to a radio station or again another podcast, they could have any sort of sound effects come on at any time, and they could be really, really loud and obviously very off-putting. Now, if you're running through a piece of wood through the table saw, or you've got your fingers very close to a bandsaw blade, and one of them sound effects goes off, that could startle you, and you could lose a finger. So, of course, you've got to be very aware and very alert at all times.
Now, I'm being very
shop.
No, granted, guys, I'm being very anal about this question because I really don't think it's that serious of a problem having music on or having podcasts on. I honestly don't. But I'm just saying there are people out there that are really safety conscious. We call them safety Sallies that may say that is a problem. And that's why I just wanted to address it before somebody brought it up and we had to address it again.
I don't see it as a problem. I listen to music all the time.
Yeah, I'm exactly. Sorry, go on, Joe.
No, go on, mate.
I was just going to say I completely agree with Jamie. I don't have it. I have music on all the time. If I've not got the music on, I've got a podcast on, and that's generally within my ear defenders. So I'm cancelling out the majority of the outside world and just having the music on whilst working. I don't see that as an issue. But if you think that is not an acceptable level of risk, then don't do it. It's the same as anything else, I guess. If you're not happy using the bandsaw for that cut, don't use the bandsaw for that cut.
Well, it's common sense. I think it just comes down to common sense. But some people just don't have a grasp of what common sense is in a workshop.
It might not be particularly a politically correct statement to say, but some people do not have a lot of common sense.
No, you're right, especially when it comes to the environment of a workshop. They may have common sense when you walk out the door, but you put them in a workshop, and the common sense that they have regarding a workshop just kind of goes away. And I'll be honest with you, I don't listen to anything when I'm in my shop. My shop is completely dead quiet. The only thing you'll hear in my shop is the tools that are running.
That would drive me nuts, Chris.
No, well, Alan, look, I made a living wearing these. I'm really happy to have the quiet to be right now.
I tell you, I listen to podcasts the entire time I'm working, always, but I listen to it on like a separate radio. So the second a tool starts, you can't hear it at all anymore. My biggest concern, and I always do this, is I lock the doors when I'm working because I learned very early on, the second I turn on a saw, my kids, they hear noises and they want to come out. And the table saw is facing away from the door, and they're just going to walk up behind me without me knowing. And that startles me. So that's a big thing for me. I always lock both doors to the shop before I know I'm going to start working.
That's a big problem as well. Other people, because there's a lot of people, especially if you do this for a living, you might have the radio on every single day, all the while you're working. It really becomes background noise. As soon as you have somebody call your name or shout in the background, that's completely unexpected, and it'll draw your attention. Somebody's playing music, you can predict music very easily. The radio station changes, when adverts come in. It's daily life. Somebody shouting is completely out of the blue, and that's when the shock kicks in and you can hurt yourself.
Yeah, right. And let me answer a question. And no, Sterling. Sterling says, so does that mean you're going to close your garage, soundproof the shop, Chris? No, Sterling. I'm not going to do that. But I'll be honest with you. If I had been that anal about it, I never would have run my thumb through my table saw, because the noise that distracted me came from my neighbor. Like a half an acre away, somebody dropped one of those. I don't know. Have you guys, when they're destroying a house, they put those big old metal dumpsters down just to pile all the trash in.
That's loud.
I think my neighbor had one delivered because they were doing some clean out. And I think the guy who was delivering it dropped it from like 5 feet up in the air onto the ground. And that thing made an amazing noise. And that's actually what distracted me as I was doing it. And that's how I cut. So if I had Sterling, that may have saved my finger. But no, I don't think I will, buddy. Jerk.
I'll tell you, one of the biggest things that distracts me around here is any old iron. Click record, and then you get the trumpets going.
Do you get a lot of that around your way, do you?
Hell of a lot,
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure I'm coming to the UK next year.
So we talked about kind of our views on responsibility, and we kind of got mixed views-ish, dependent on the video setting and all the rest of it. But presumably you all use PPE. I know do most of the time.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean-
of course you do. Of course you do.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of expecting people to potentially ask, what we use. I don't want this to turn into an advertising billboard, because I personally use all different things. But I mean, what do you guys? Masks, glasses,
Yeah. Face shields.
Yeah, well, you know what? I don't.
Um,
I don't go so far as to put steel-toed shoes on in my shop, Richard, just because I don't wear that. I don't. I'm not using a lot of heavy materials. So if I drop something on my foot, it's just a piece of wood, and that's an owie, but that's not going to cripple me for life. So, but if you're dealing with heavy material, then I guess that wouldn't be a bad idea. I personally. I use the 3M respirator and I mostly use the 3M respirator when I'm doing one of two things. Either when I'm cutting like an MDF type of substance, or when I'm spraying or atomizing a chemical that can be harmful for me. I will put a respirator on to protect my lungs because, and to be quite honest with you, when I spray something like that, I always try to do it outside my shop in a well-ventilated area. There's a breeze, it goes away, but I still wear a respirator when I need to. Water-based products, I don't bother with it. But if it's a chemical-based product, I will definitely wear a respirator. And as far as safety glasses go, like I said, these are safety glasses, and I have another pair of bifocals out in my shop that have the prescription lens that I need at the very bottom, and then a clear lens at the top, so that I can see. Because I forget how this. I'm farsighted. So I can see things far away, but I can't see things close up real well. So
isn't that nearsighted?
Okay,
I don't know either.
Yeah, your wife is the optometrist. You tell me. I have no clue. I'm beyond my area of expertise, there, mate.
He's also got a monocle for when he's feeling a little bit dangerous.
Yeah, I've got a monocle, so when I wink and I'm doing it, I can. Yeah, no. But I have safety glasses. Outside of that, the one thing I've never used, I have never ever used, and I don't know if it's good or not. It just may be because I've worn these for so long that it doesn't matter anymore. I don't wear hearing protection. And I don't know that is I don't want to advise against wearing it. I'm telling you, I never have. It's just, I've never worked that way.
I think I'm pretty much right there with Chris. However, I do wear safety shoes because I had an extra pair, and I like having different shoes in the shop because the floor is so much dirtier. So it's just kind of a slip-in thing as I'm coming in. And I do wear hearing protection when I'm using my planer because that thing gives me a headache. But other than that, all the same. Damn, that planer is really loud.
Bad. Joe wears steel toe cap Crocs, don't you, Joe? And slippers.
But it is the thing. It's worse. I've actually got some steel toe cap trainers that I won in Mitch Peacock's competition from where's it from? Lee Cooper.
Yeah.
And they're in my shed, and I'm always there. But I always wear my slippers. No matter what I'm doing, I'm always wearing slippers. I weld in my slippers. I work with full sheets of MDF in my slippers. Everything. I know it's really bad.
I was welding shoes just the other day, and one tiny little ember made its way into that little tiny crevice. I did a dance for like 5 minutes straight.
So if you had slippers on, you could have slipped them off straight away.
I just melted my way right through.
I know that's bad. That's one thing I know I need to.
Yeah, I wouldn't do welding in slippers.
Why don't you wear the steel toe? Have you ever worn them?
Yeah, I've worn them a few times.
Okay,
but it's like it's a lot of hassle.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
I'm lazy.
Can you not do up laces?
That's the trouble. Them laces. I need Velcro.
You do the bunny ears.
Yeah.
Loop it, swoop it, and
Joe, there's YouTube videos out there that show you how to tie a knot if you really need to.
No, but they look a bit dangerous. They've got no safety gear on doing it.
All right, that's it for the PPE episode. Next week's video for me, how to tie your shoes for Joe Whitaker. That's the deal.
What I was kind of hoping you were going to say, without saying it, was that, and you kind of did, it was hassle. Yeah, I thought you might say because they were uncomfortable, but that's kind of the key to all PPE, I think. If it's not comfortable, you won't wear it. If your mask irritates you, you won't put your mask on. If you don't like wearing things over your ears, you won't wear them because it's uncomfortable. And if it's if you're not wearing it, it's not protecting you, and presumably, unless you win it in a competition, you've wasted money on it as well. So that's like a double loss there. So whatever, and it's kind of one of those trial and error things, because you don't know if if those glasses are going to be comfortable or not until you've worn them a few times, by which time you won't be able to take them back. So it's not always good, but you've got to be comfortable wearing the stuff. A funny story, which isn't woodworking related, but with ear defense, you get like the big kind of earmuffs. I can only wear those. You get like those little foam cylinders. They're either yellow and they come in like a cardboard. But if you're a motorcyclist, I think they wear them a lot under there.
I wear them all day, every day at work.
I cannot wear those at all. Just it freaks me out, just the thought of wearing them, because when I was in my early 20s, I think it was, when I was still a reservist, we'd get issued a pair of, everyone referred to, they were 3M Pelter ear defenders, but everyone called them Ampivox because I think in the 50s the army got issued them from a company called Ampivox. Anyway, we'd get issued them, and unless we were actually on the ranges firing real live bullets, we wouldn't wear ear defenders unless we were doing an exercise in buildings. And if you've ever walked into a breeze block brick building and fired off a machine gun, you cannot possibly imagine how much of an echoey, noisy place that is. Because when you've got people, when you're running around in the woods and across the fields and making bangs and stuff, it just goes bang, doesn't it? But when it's all enclosed in a building, it just goes, it's really, really loud. But when you've got people shouting at you, telling you to go here and do this and do the rest of it, if you've got ear defenders on, you can't hear them. So you literally
banging in the woods. Banging in the woods is definitely quieter.
You might do it quietly, but we were very loud about it. We used to scare the animals away.
Well, I have personal experiences about firing a rifle in an enclosed area.
But just think of it being an automatic weapon fired in a one loud bang is loud, but 30 going off in a couple of seconds is really loud. So we put ear defenders on, and I had these little yellow kind of foam things, and I wedged it in my ear. But they sort of expand because they're like a weird foam. I put this thing in my ear, and it started doing like its reshaping thing. And instead of coming out and being comfortable, it started going in, and it was going further and further and further in. It felt like it was trying to bug, and it hurt because it must have been like so far in. I couldn't get it out with my fingers, and I'm not joking. A friend of mine had to come up with a Leatherman and the needle nose pliers and basically extract this thing from the side of my head. And I've never had such an earache in all my life, just from this thing going pulled out of my ear. I can't wear them at all now. I have to have like the proper.
Well, they use them on gun ranges all the time. Jamie, what about you? You haven't chimed in. I mean, I know the scroll saw is hazardous and that's dangerous work, but I mean, but you do some late work too. You do some late work.
I've nearly killed a few viewers from boredom quite a few times.
For PPE.
PPE wise, I've got a mask that I got from a company called Cambridge Mask. They're not bad. I got that from a review that Mike Walk done. They're not too bad of a mask. They're not great if you've got a bit too much facial hair. I mean, I don't think like the likes of Alan could wear it, to be honest, because he's got a bit too much of a beard. But Joker, because he hasn't got one. But yeah, they're not too bad. They're kind of like I'm going to say the British version of the RZ mask. They kind of hook over the ear rather than strap round the back.
Oh, got it. Okay.
As apart from the ear defenders, I've got my my trusty 3M work tones.
Nice. So, are they music ones? Are they radio ones?
Yeah, the Bluetooth ones.
Oh, nice.
And Jimmy, when do you use that gear? Because I know obviously you probably don't wear much of that at all when you're doing a scroll saw work. But I mean, when you're on a lathe, you probably. I mean, I know you wear a face shield. I've seen you do it.
I can't actually wear these when I'm on the lathe because they won't go with my face shield. but on the scroll saw, I wear them constantly. And obviously, with the last portrait I've done, it took me 7 hours. So
that's just so you have company during those long.
Yeah.
But also, do you guys know what the regulations and the restrictions are for noise in terms of hearing protection?
I do not. No, I do not.
It's actually not solely to do with how loud the noise is, because it's in conjunction with the length of time. And I only found this out because I had one of those really boring health and safety things when I worked in manufacturing in a previous job. So you could go into a room with a really, really, really loud noise and not have a requirement for hearing protection.
Okay.
But you could go into another room to work for an hour, 2 hours, 4 hours, all day long, 8-hour shift, where there's just a continuous but much lower decibel level.
Hum?
Like a long hum, and require. That's when you need the hearing protection. So actually, with Jamie's latest video, the big long scroll saw projects, there might not be a loud noise with the scroll saw, but it's a long period of time potentially. So
it was actually done over the space of like 3 days. So
yeah, I mean, I couldn't imagine. Even you could sit in front of a scroll saw for 8 hours and still be entertained.
I could.
But if you're going to have long-term exposure to soft noises, that can be more damaging than a really short-term exposure to a loud noise.
A harsh noise. Okay.
If Jamie's scroll sawing, then he has to wear protection. If I'm doing it, I don't, because I'm going to give up in less than 20 minutes anyway.
Exactly.
10 minutes on, 2 years, 2 years off. 10 minutes on, 2 years off. Yeah, I don't have a problem.
Sterling, I'll have your portrait done in 2020.
And we're not dissing on scrollers because, Jamie, I got to tell you, that video you put out, as well as Sterling Davis's video, that there were two absolutely awesome scroll saw videos that we'll put out this week, and I just wanted to give you some mad love because I mean, I swear to you, I have mad respect for you guys that can do that because I just do. That's a talent I will never ever possess. I just do not have the talent to sit there and do something like that. And so, I hate to give love to Jamie because, I mean, he even mentioned last week that he wouldn't give love to me, but he mentioned it in my video anyway. But I'm going to give it.
Actually, it's Joe. Do you see that? It was Joe that told me that. And then you just said that. He just kind of just went. but absolutely. But Sterling's Joker that he did, and in yours, you've got to be the biggest Nick Zametti fan that is out there to spend 7 hours scrolling out his portrait. So, damn right as well.
Well, and they both turned out fantastic. So my hat's off to you. It's just that I can tell you right now, I'm never gonna.
There's some work for you, Joe. That's 2 now.
Here's an edit. Sorry.
What was talking about responsibility for our audiences. Setting a bad example.
I think we have a couple of 10-year-olds.
If there's young, impressionable people out there, the word ducking is not bad. So I just said I'm never ducking going to do it.
You don't need to.
Or diving. So, is that your shout out for this week? Is it, Chris? Is that your shout out?
No. Actually, I wanted to mention it because I was thoroughly impressed with both of those videos, so I did want to mention it. No, my shout out this week's gonna be real quick. Making Time podcast. We have a new podcast out there, guys. I want to welcome them to the community and let our listeners know that if they were looking for a podcast to listen to, they might want to check this out. It's Mike Jeffcoat, it's Charles Gant, and Daryl Jones. It's called the Making Time podcast, and when this is released on Wednesday, the link will be down below to their iTunes, and you can go listen to them too, see what they have to offer. So congrats, guys. Good luck, and I hope you have fun because we're having a blast.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah, even if nobody listens to this, this is still an amusing Sunday night for me, certainly. So.
There you go. even if we do no good, we've done some good.
Yeah, exactly. Presumably everyone's stopped listening by now anyway. So,
you'll be surprised.
I just thought that was
people.
Yeah, wow. I am surprised. You've just logged in 14 other times, haven't you?
Yep.
No, I thought, Chris, that was going to be one of your ex-radio professional barely noticeable segues into the next section because Joe was giving us the evil eye because we've got about 9 minutes left. That was all.
Well, I thought I handled it pretty well, and until you brought that up, it didn't become awkward. Until you brought that up, you could have just transitioned right into the next guy. But did you do it? No. So
Joe's
podcasts.
I give up.
Joe's got to edit you out. He can edit me out as well while he's there.
Got a lot of edits this week.
Well, Joe's giving me the evil eye because I gave Chris enough for a bit of hurry up. My shout out is going to go to Patrick's workshop. Now, he made a mallet, and not only is it a mallet, but it's a compass as well.
I've seen this in my feed. I haven't watched the video, but I've seen it in my feed.
This actually works because the mallet has got a couple of nuts on it. And what you do is you loosen up the nut and the big nut, and it opens up, and you just draw a big circle around where the compass and the pen is basically a Sharpie. So it's a great project. I believe there's plans of it as well. So Patrick's workshop.
Oh, it's that kind of compass. I was thinking it was like, say, to get to the North Pole or something.
You'd love to go and sit on Santa's knee, wouldn't you?
I'm on a choo-choo train in a Kindle.
Joe's like, I'm so making one of those.
Find your safety glasses in the workshop.
Yeah.
Where's that Mully put phone number? I'm calling it right now.
That would be awesome. Presumably, Joe, you've been watching. Have you been watching YouTube, or have you been busy defending your actions from the safety police?
And so answering comments, kicking butts, taking names. I haven't had a chance to watch videos.
What are you working on? You got rid of those beds yet?
Yeah, beds have been delivered. I've got some space in my room again now, so I've got 6 projects I'm going to be working on in the future, and there should be videos. Yeah, there's like a collaboration with a couple of companies coming up, so that's exciting. Really looking forward to get started with that one.
Excellent. What about you, Alan? Because you sort of you must have been doing something right, because you hit a little milestone recently, didn't you, on your channel?
Oh yeah, we just crossed 10,000 subscribers, boys. Just yesterday.
Congratulations, buddy.
Yes,
that's awesome.
Well deserved.
Just shy of 2 years. Thank you. Shout out though. I want to shine a light on a new channel, a new-ish channel again this week that I found. It's actually quite similar to mine. It's a part cinematic, part comedy. The guy's just a really fun dude. It's called Bull City Woodworks. Have you guys heard of him? I think it was like 61, 62 subscribers or something when I saw.
Oh, man, yeah, he's great. Derek. You're talking about Derek Robertson, I believe.
Yes. Like, I found him on I Like to Make Stuff. Awesome, dude.
Yeah. He's a great dude. Love that guy.
Oh, yeah, we hit it off big time. Yeah. What did he tell me to tell you?
Wait. No, that could be another. That could be another edit point for Joe. Just
apparently, you guys got pretty tanked up in Atlanta.
Oh yeah, well, okay. If you say so.
Or you said there's no beer involved, and they said, "Well, I met Chris and Jamie in Atlanta." I'm like, "You don't tell me there's no beer involved." And he's like, "Well, maybe there was one bar. It might have happened."
Shh, my wife could be listening. Don't move on.
Apparently everybody knows him, but I just met him and I think he's an awesome guy. Go check out his channel.
He is a great guy.
And have you been working on anything? Are we going to have like a 10,000 subscriber cool video in the pipeline? Or
I am starting a build on a invitation box for a wedding that's based around Batman. It's essentially just a big rectangle about yay deep, about a foot deep. Hey, there you go, Joe. And all the signatures are going on little bat symbols. I've outsourced the bat symbols to a CNC friend of mine, Mr. Trevor Carter, and I'm going to make the box itself for the wedding. So that's going to be fun. I don't even know if I'm going to make a video on that or not yet, though.
I know someone who's done a box for a wedding.
So it's thanks for the 10,000 subscribers. Here's Batman. Okay.
wasn't quite what I was expecting. But, no, you definitely should make a video. I think Jamie should have made a video on the post box personally, but never mind. Oh, we've offended him now. Poor old, he's done one.
Oh no!
Oh no!
So, he's back.
Onto the back.
What happened there?
We thought you got offended and run away. That was all.
Oh, I didn't even hear what anybody said. The last thing I said was, I'm out of the video game, boys, and everything died.
Joe just thought you went to the Batcave, is what he said.
Oh. Yeah, we've been hiding in the Batcave.
What about you, Richard?
Well, I've been hiding in my man cave for the last. See what I did there? Ooh, getting better at this.
Oh, nice.
No,
Nice
I did a video this week on. It was deliberately going to be an instructional video. I'm trying to do more of those in the routing sort of scene. So there's going to be. It's a long video. That's like 35 minutes, but it's absolutely rammed of purely instructional. There's all the way from start to finish. It's finished. It's on my channel, but it's not been released yet. But it probably will be by the time this airs, though. And now I'm actually back now in Cambridge for 2 weeks, working on a client job, big client job, doing some window restoration. So that's why this is all completely different behind me that people can't see, because this is all audio. So I don't know why I mentioned it. But what have I been watching? Not a huge amount of YouTube, to be honest. But one thing, I can't even remember where I picked it up from. There's a guy out there called Josh Turner. Have you heard of this guy? He's, I don't know,
yes.
Youngish chap. I think he's a musician, guitarist. But
yeah, he's a guitarist singer. Yeah, he's a good singer too. Yeah,
he's a good singer. I mean, I know nothing about playing the. I can barely hold a guitar the way you're supposed to hold it, so I can't play the guitar at all. So probably Alan will be able to appreciate this more than I can. But this guy played Eleanor Rigby, which I think is that not a Beatles track or
wait a minute. Richard, you're in England and you don't know. Yeah, okay, that is a Beatles track. Yeah,
I know some Beatles songs, but I'm not necessarily a Beatles fan.
Hold your head.
Major generation gap happening here. Right
no,
now.
It's not that. Just because, just because the band's local within like 400 miles, but it doesn't mean I've got to be a fan. I'm aware of who they are. I register, recognise their talent. Some of their songs I like, some of their songs I don't dislike, but I like less than the ones that I like. But it's all relative.
My God, it's the freaking Beatles. Are you kidding me? Anyway, go ahead.
The Beatles are better than you are.
Anyone can play.
You're making it sound like the Rolling Stones are a club band, for Christ's sake. It's the friggin' Beatles. Anyway, yes.
Anyway, he played this track, but by all he absolutely nailed this. And if you are a guitarist, you'll be able to appreciate far more than I can just how much he nailed it, because it was by all accounts, it's a very technical track that he just did perfectly. And when I read through all the kind of stuff from the site where it was posted, the people were saying it's a really technical technique, something like it's awesome. It's about a 2-minute video. You could have watched the whole video in the time I've tried to explain this. So go and watch it. If you've listened to this, you're not like wasting any more extra time. So where can everyone be found anyway? Obviously Alan's disappeared, so I've no idea where he can be found at the minute.
He seems to be having some trouble.
He's lost his internet.
He just messaged us. He said his net is absolutely down. So you can find Alan, the woodworking junkie, on any social media you choose. Just type in woodworking junkie, you'll find Alan. And Alan, we're sorry that your network went down.
Well, what about you, Chris? Where can we find you?
Oh, I'm easy, because you don't even have to go to Instagram to find me. YouTube and Facebook, Chris Cute, or Make the First Cut. One of the two, and you'll find me.
Brilliant. Jamie, where can you be found?
You can find me on YouTube at JP Woodwork, Twitter and Instagram at JP_Woodwork.
And that's it?
No,
Jamie?
I'm waiting for Joe, then you can come back to me.
Okay. Joe?
Average Joe's Joinery on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter, and Average Joe's Photography on Instagram.
And for some reason we're going back to Jamie. Jamie.
And you can also find all of our social media links on makersinternationalpodcast.com under the category hosts, which has now been updated.
I need a Tim Sway horn so we can do this every week. So when Jamie, when we all throw it back to Jamie for an extra appearance, I can give him a bugle. Anyway, dun, 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 dun. Go ahead, Jamie. What is it again?
Also, I just want to mention that as of Makers Make It Matter, which happened last year, is happening again this year. The link is on our podcast page as well as the link to Makers Central as well. That's also on our website as well.
Is that a tool build this year?
It's a tool or a toy tool.
That's right, yeah, because I've signed up for that to do a make, and I'd completely forgotten until you mentioned it, so yes.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me. You can either go to makersmakeitmatter.com or you can go over to our website, which obviously links will be available, and the link will be on the homepage of our website.
Wicked. And just very quickly, Chris, instead of a bugle for Jamie, I think what you need is one of those like little French horns with the rubber ball on the end, like. So,
I was planning on it. I was planning on a kazoo.
Or we could just get
a bit of toilet paper.
Blade of grass.
There you go.
We could I think just get Mike and Mike to just go Beetle.
So I'm
Richard, wrap it up, man.
Desperately to wrap this up now before it just completely goes to pot. Make sure you go and check out the guys and click the little bell icon because everyone's putting out some quality content. So I've been Rick Morley. You can find me at brainfist.uk and under my name on YouTube. Once again, if you're still listening, presumably you are, thank you for listening, coming along and joining us this evening. Apart from Alan, because he's disappeared off early. So we'll see you next time.
Have a great week, everybody.
See you next week.
Have a week.